Guys, great to be on with you. Before we jump into our conversation, we just got the press conferences from Pep Guardiola on the eve of the Man City Spurs games. Let's hear what Pep had to say before we jump into our conversation.
To ask you if you're going to change because play against us? Absolutely not. This is not going to happen. We'll be surprised, but I remember I met just once in I don't know 3 or 4 pre-seasons ago when we were in Japan. We played against Yokohama, a team of the group, and then was there the manager. And I saw some clips before, some games before we started pre-season. It was the first or second pre-season game. And I said, wow, there are things that I like it. And I said to the players, so the more I have to be, I know we are not ready because we are in pre-season, they were in competition, but the more we're going to face a good team with challenges, intense build-up, how intense is the high pressing, how use the keeper to make the process. And it was that true. So in a period of short time, even the games that didn't win lately, I'm impressed how good many things they do and how many chances they create and how aggressive in all departments. So he came here and nothing. In a few months, you recognize perfectly his team.
There's Pep talking about Ange's style, to say the least, and his approach to football. We saw it start really well for Spurs. They were unbeaten in their first 10 matches. They've lost 3 straight now. Injuries are a problem. And Rob, I'll start with you. And Pep basically said he'd be surprised if the approach is any different. Do you think the same thing? We're going to see the same high line, the same way Tottenham has played. Will they play that way on the road at the Etihad?
I think so. And, I think Pep Guardiola is absolutely right. I think it was really telling that in that Chelsea game that Spurs had when they went down to 9 men, that I think Postecoglou said after the game that even if they'd had 6 men, that he would have told his team to still go for it. And if he's talking about having 6 men on the field and still playing with a high line and still trying to attack a team, it's fair to say that he's going to go to the Etihad Stadium with 11 men and try and do exactly the same. He's so married to that philosophy that even if he wanted to now, I don't think that he could change. And I would expect him to play exactly the same way against City on Sunday. That the thing about that is that I've watched an awful lot of City games over the years, and teams come with a very, very low block. They try to go man-to-man sometimes. Some teams try to attack. There's no formula for success at the Etihad Stadium against Man City. So it's not to say that, if Spurs went and changed things, that they could possibly go and they would have a better chance of beating City, because you can go there against City with any kind of style and still get beaten. And I think Postecoglou would probably tell you that it's better to go there and lose trying to attack and win the game than it is to sit back, defend, try and soak up as much pressure as you can, because you may still lose anyway. So you may as well go there and try to win. And I expect that Postecoglou will tell his players that ahead of the game on Sunday and do exactly that.
Go ahead, Ryan. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think against Chelsea, it was maybe a little misguided to play the way they did after they went down a man. But yeah, I don't really know what the other option is on Sunday. They could play a super defensive style, and then you have Ben Davies and Emerson as your center backs kind of bunkered in the box, constantly fending off Erling Haaland. I think I'd rather probably try to be a little more proactive and push forward. And, I think Spurs started off the season so well that it suddenly created all these expectations. Are they in the title race? Are they in the top 4? When in reality, coming into the season, I think everyone kind of was agreed that it was sort of a rebuilding year. And I think if you're rebuilding and you're trying to institute a certain style of play, you go into this game, you're probably going to lose this game. This is the hardest game on the schedule for any team in the league, right? So trying to institute your style, maybe you get blown out. I think that probably has a kind of a long-term benefit that trying to grind out a deep bunkering counter style that probably isn't going to work anyway wouldn't have.
I like that you guys both mentioned the Chelsea match. I'm not going to lie. When it was 9 men, I'm like, they don't have to do this right now. I was literally saying out loud, like, this is wild just to watch. They weren't going to change. And it was just, this is how we're going to be. And it was quite fascinating. Rob, from the City perspective here, they are massive favorites. They are odds on minus 360. So for those who don't know, you got to bet $360 to win 100. That's how heavy favorites City are to win this game at home. They're currently in second in the table. Will this end up being, will they cruise to a win? Are the bookies right? This is that lopsided of a matchup?
I think so, given the circumstances. Ryan's mentioned there about Spurs' injury list. I think they're missing around 11 players. It would be very, very interesting to see Postecoglou have his fully fit side and see what he would possibly do at the Etihad Stadium. Obviously, that's not going to be the case, and the defence in particular is going to be particularly patched up. I mean, City haven't lost in any competition at the Etihad Stadium for more than a year. I think it was before the World Cup in Qatar that they lost to Brentford. Obviously, they drew with Liverpool last time out. That's the only game they failed to win this calendar year at the Etihad Stadium. That tells you how strong they are at home. City, again, they've gone through a little bit of a blip. They are conceding goals. They don't keep that many clean sheets, but they are scoring a lot of goals again since they lost to Arsenal. I think they've scored around 25 goals in 8 games in all competitions, which is an awful lot of goals. And particularly when you're playing against a Spurs team who are missing a lot of defenders, aren't defending particularly well themselves, there's a fair chance that City are going to score more than once. And when you get into that kind of shootout with City, it's very, very difficult to win because of the attacking options that City have. It's not only Haaland, it's Alvarez and Doku and Grealish and Bernardo Silva, all these fantastic players who can all hurt you. Even if one of these guys is having an off day, there are about 3 or 4 others who can hurt you and score goals and create chances. So the bookmakers have made those odds for very good reason. City are heavy favourites because they're a better side, they're in better shape, and they're a better team.